Hey Raiders, good morning. I know you're about to do your first C-Day experience and you should have just completed your rhythm kind of self-awareness survey and then watched a little video about kind of some emotional responses to the answers you picked through during your rhythm survey. I have two very special people with me. I want to make sure you know their faces and their names because they are such supportive workers here at Southwest. We have Mrs. Moore and Mrs. Melville, our two social workers here at the school. And we're going to take a moment and just kind of talk to us about the first week of school. We know it's always kind of a little stressful. Sometimes there's peer-to-peer conflict. Sometimes I have a new teacher and there's conflict with me and the teacher. So we just want to give you a couple constructive things to do as you go through the start of the school year and things that you can carry through the whole school year. So I know coming back, sometimes there's been conflict over the summer and this is the first we're seeing someone, or maybe it's, oh man, I have this person in my class and we didn't really gel in 8th grade. We want to talk about some strategies to deal with when you have peer-to-peer conflict so that it's appropriate and safe here at school because as you know, we've increased expectations here. We're trying to be the best. That's our vision. Being the best means we need to behave with appropriate behaviors. Doesn't mean that the behaviors are always going to be perfect or there's not going to be conflict, but our response to conflict and our response to disagreements has to be controlled. And so what suggestions do you have, Ms. Moore, when we're not feeling it today? What can I do when my friend, or maybe it's not my friend, we're having a disagreement?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, each one of us is responsible for our own feelings and emotions, regardless of what anyone else is doing. You are responsible for how you feel. So when your feelings are dysregulated, that means you're feeling uneven, you're upset, you're angry, you're sad, any of those things, you want to take a moment to identify what's happening within you, practice some skills. What does it take to calm your emotions, to regulate yourself? Take some deep breaths, step away, take a moment away from the situation, and think about what is happening. You want to keep your end goal in mind. I don't think anybody ever wants to get in trouble. And so stepping away and being able to make a good decision away from the problem typically can help you with that, to keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, and I think one of the things too is when you make a decision right after feeling emotional, it's usually not the best decision, right? It's usually a reaction, and when you have a moment to think about it, you're like, oh man, I would have done that differently.
Absolutely.
And sometimes too, I think just pausing and asking for clarification from someone, did you mean to say it like that? Or,
yes.
Because sometimes we don't hear exactly what the other person says. A lot of times our conflict is a result of poor communication, right?
Absolutely. You want to take your time to think about what's happening. Think about the situation, assess your own emotions. None of us make good decisions when our emotions are dysregulated. Nobody. And we usually, like Mr. Engel said, end up regretting some of the things that we do or having negative consequences from them. So if you can pause, take a moment and calm yourself. Use whatever skills you know that works for you to get yourself in a better situation and then move forward and address what's happening.
And another thing that I want to address is our job as a social community here at Southwest, as peers, if we see two people struggling, right, we want to be good friends and good classmates and encourage them to utilize some of these strategies. We don't want to encourage the, fight mentality because that's not what we do here, and that's going to cause conflict for everyone. What we want to make sure we do is if we see people struggling with conflict, we utilize the resources, some strategies, hey, cool down, think about it. We're not posting everything on social media.
Yes.
Social media never helps, right?
Never.
Never. And I mean, that's real, and we know that. You're young adults. You know posting things on social media or adding fuel to the fires, they say, is not a good way to have good conflict resolution. So again, what we're trying to do here at the school this year is about when there is conflict, because there will be, how are you going to respond? If you're in the conflict or if you're witnessing the conflict, at Southwest High School, we want to make sure you know the expectations. But there's also another type of conflict, right? Sometimes I see students and teachers engage in conflict. One thing I will tell you is you always want to be the student that's hard to fail. And what do I mean by that? Your approach to adults in the school really matters. It doesn't mean it's going to always change them asking you to do a homework assignment or if this graded. But if you have the wrong approach and you're a demanding and you talk very demeaning to a teacher and you're like, you will do this, you better fix this. Your approach is everything in whether or not they're going to choose to help you or not. Just think about how you deal with your own parents when you really want something. And I know everybody's really wanted some new clothes or new shoes, start back to school. You know how to, you know which parent to go and approach, and you know what approach you need to take to make sure you get those things. Well, do that with your teachers. Make sure your approach is effective. But even then, conflict happens with adults. Ms. Melville, what would you say if a student, and I want you to see this, listen to the similarities from student to student to student to teacher. What if they have conflict with the teacher? They don't like the teacher's not letting them go to the restroom right now because someone is already out and they're telling them they have to wait. So there's conflict.
Yeah.
How do they deal with that?
Like, we talked about Ms. Moore and Mr. Engel, pausing, taking that second to, calm your body, calm anything that's going on, and then come back to it, when you're calmer or obviously, we're always available to talk if there's a serious conflict, but just take a second, pause, get your mind back right and handle it when you're in a better place.
Better place, right?
Yeah.
And one thing I would tell you is, think about, is there a pattern of behavior, right? Is this the first time there's conflict? And we're on level 10. Like some people go level 0 to level 10, boom, just like that, right? It's like the fastest car in the world. You don't want to be that person, right? Especially when this is the first time there may have been conflict with that person. If that's the first time, utilize these strategies, and I'm sure you'll see a change in how the outcomes happen. If you see a pattern of just like every day this teacher and I have conflict, that's why we have social workers. We're here to support you and give you skills about how to do it. But teachers this year at Southwest are really going to be working with you on controlling your emotions, how to interact, because soft skills, right? When you go to an interview, you have to know how to improve that first impression, that kind of hustle that you need to do to make sure that they pick you for the job is an important skill to have. And sometimes you have to have that even in the middle of conflict. So this is kind of series 1. I want to make sure you got a name with a face for our social workers here at the school. Again, Raiders, I just want to tell you, we have tons of people here that their job is to support you and making sure that you do the very best this year at Southwest High School. But the number one person I need to challenge this year to help you is you. Make sure you're taking the time to do everything you can to make sure your school year is the very best. Go Raiders.